Here we are outside Portman Road, the home of Ipswich Town, currently bottom of the Championship, but win here against Rotherham, which could be a U-turn in their fortunes recently. Talking of U-turns, the budget 2018 included changes to Entrepreneurs Relief, which jeopardised the 10% rate applying to where different share classes of Alphabet shares were issued. This was apparently as an unintended consequence of the drafting. I'm sceptical of this, and wonder whether they actually test legislation, and if there isn't a huge uproar, then they persevere with the changes. Anyway, not only representations from the ICAEW and CIOT, but they also drafted 2 additional clauses for the legislation to change it. I'll read these out. That you are also entitled to at least 5% of the profits available for distribution to equity holders, and at least 5% of the assets on a winding up. And probably the most important to Alphabet shareholders is that on an assumed amount of proceeds an individual is entitled to at any time, it might be reasonable to expect a person to be beneficially entitled. So that's if there was a deemed sale, which leads me to a pet hate of mine, which is ambiguous legislation. The last point used, the terms assumed and reasonable to expect, both are open to interpretation, and therefore it's possible HMRC might interpret it differently from a taxpayer. So what is the state of play regarding Entrepreneurs Relief now? The budget changes were effective from the 29th of October. So clause 3CII, the new one, it appears to negate the initial concerns for Alphabet shares, but it is still draft legislation, and Brexit might mean that it's all shelved anyway. I think the overriding point is take advice. If you're contemplating selling your business, not just in the very short term, but in the next 3 years, because the ownership period for Entrepreneurs Relief will be 2 years from the 5th of April 2019. And if Entrepreneurs Relief doesn't apply, then you double the rate of tax to 20%. So on a £2 million sale, you're looking at £400,000 worth of tax rather than the £200,000. So it's worth making sure the relief does apply. Thank you for listening. If you've got any questions, contact me on the details shown at the end of the video, or comment on our social media.